The way in which massive data collection in China affects people depends a lot on who you are. So if, for example, you're a member of a particular population that is especially of concern to the Chinese Communist Party, an ethnic or religious minority, an activist or democracy advocate, a journalist, then you're likely to have, not only be more likely to have your data collected, not only are you more likely to have your data collected and scrutinized much more closely, but the penalties you might face based on information you sent, information you access, information you shared with other people is likely to be that much harsher. So, if you're running a website about human rights news, then somebody was recently sentenced to 12 years in prison for that. If you're someone who practices the Falun Gong meditation, you're handing out flyers or calendars on a bus, and a surveillance camera catches you, you'll be sent to prison for a period of time. If you're a Uyghur Muslim in Xinjiang, and you're found doing a variety of different activities that to us would seem very innocuous or even a core part of Islam, then you could be sent to an extra-legal re-education camp. So I think for populations that are particularly targeted by the Communist Party, not only are they more likely to have their data collected and scrutinized, but they're also much more likely to be questioned, detained, imprisoned, tortured, etc., as a result of the authorities capturing that data. But one of the other things you see in China is that increasingly, who is a target population or a, quote, key individual, which is the term that the Communist Chinese police use, is becoming broader and broader. So now it's a lot of foreigners, it's petitioners, it's internal migrants. So it becomes tens of millions of people in China that could be considered part of a, quote, key individual or key target population, who again, it could either be that their data is particularly of more interest to the Chinese government, but also that they're more likely to face reprisals as a result of what's discovered over the course of that surveillance. And the situation right now is also that the scale of data collection and surveillance is such, especially when it's integrated with social media applications that are pervasive in China, pretty much everybody is monitored in one way or another in a fairly personalized way. And so the odds of you being caught doing something that the Chinese Communist Party doesn't like is much greater than it had been 5 or even 10 years ago. And so the target population, again, is much wider. And the red lines of what you could get in trouble with are constantly moving and expanding to topics and targets that were previously tolerated by the Communist Party. So you're much more likely not only to have your data collected, even if you're just Joe Schmo in China, now compared to 5 or 10 years ago, you're also much more likely to face some kind of repercussion as a result of that. And people know about that. And so one of the other aspects relates to self-censorship. And that's one of the things we see in our work when we're looking at the space for Chinese people to communicate openly and discuss issues, not only related to politics or, say, criticism of the government, but even on social justice issues, women's rights, gender issues. Again, religion, of course, is a big red line. People are much more likely to self-censor now than they used to be. And it's not only always because of Chinese government reprisals. One of the biggest applications on smartphones in China is WeChat. And it's used for electronic payments. People use it instead of business cards at a meeting. They'll swap WeChat accounts. And if you say something that crosses a red line and your WeChat account gets shut, that severely impacts your daily life. Your ability to live a normal life in China is severely impacted in a way that it wouldn't have been to that degree even just 5 years ago.